Hello, and welcome to our Politics Discussion podcast. I'm Claire, and joining me is Alan. Today, we'll be covering several key stories that have emerged recently.
That's right, Claire. We'll be diving into some significant developments in international trade, U.S. foreign policy, social media regulation, immigration, and a notable incident involving a former law enforcement officer.
Let's start with the story about President Trump's recent announcement regarding tariffs.
Yes, I saw that. The Trump administration is planning to impose a 50% tariff on Canadian cars, trucks, auto parts, and steel starting January 1, 2027. Can you provide more context on this?
According to the reports, President Trump stated that he would increase tariffs on all cars and trucks, auto parts, and steel to 50%. He accused Canada of unfair trade practices and urged companies to build in the U.S. to avoid these tariffs.
That's quite a significant escalation in trade tensions. How does this compare to previous tariff announcements or trade policies?
The articles mention that this move is part of an ongoing trade fight between the U.S. and Canada. The proposed tariff rate is substantially higher than many existing tariffs, which are typically in the range of 2.5% to 10%.
So, what are the potential implications of such a high tariff rate for Canadian exports to the U.S.?
The reporting suggests that this could severely impact the Canadian automotive and steel industries, as the U.S. is a major market for their exports. Companies might need to reconsider their supply chains or manufacturing locations.
That ties into the next story about the U.S. removing Syria from its list of state sponsors of terrorism.
Exactly. The U.S. Treasury Department announced that it would remove Syria from this list effective immediately. This decision comes with significant economic implications as it lifts major investment obstacles in Syria.
I understand that this move was made to foster additional investment in Syria and promote political and economic stability. But doesn't this contradict previous U.S. stances on Syria?
The articles indicate that the Trump administration notified Congress of its plan to remove Syria's designation as a state sponsor of terrorism on July 8th. The removal is seen as a step in warming ties between the U.S. and Syria.
What's the potential impact of this decision on the Syrian economy and political landscape?
The Treasury Secretary mentioned that this action will help foster additional investment in Syria. However, it's also noted that this doesn't change the U.S. posture regarding countering global terrorism.
Let's move on to another story. New Zealand is planning to introduce a bill that bans children under 16 from using social media.
Yes, Prime Minister Christopher Luxon announced this proposed legislation, citing the harm being done to a generation of young people. The bill would impose fines of up to 10% of a platform's global revenue for noncompliance.
That's a significant regulatory move. How do the coalition partners in New Zealand's government feel about this bill?
Interestingly, one of the coalition partners, the New Zealand First Party, has expressed reservations, calling it a slippery slope. This indicates that the bill might face challenges in passing.
What are the potential implications of such a ban on social media companies and their operations?
The proposed law would require platforms to verify users' ages using various measures, including account information, facial technology, and digital identity documents. This could significantly impact how social media companies operate, especially in terms of user verification.
Let's discuss another significant story involving U.S. immigration policy.
The Trump administration is preparing to revoke the visas of up to 200,000 foreigners who have applied for or are currently seeking asylum in the United States. This move is described as the largest single mass revocation of visas in U.S. history.
That's a massive number. Can you clarify which types of visas are being targeted?
According to the reports, the revocation will affect B1 and B2 visas issued between 2016 and 2026, whose holders have sought asylum or are now seeking asylum.
What are the potential consequences for the individuals whose visas are revoked?
The articles suggest that this move could have significant implications for foreigners who are currently in the U.S. or planning to enter on business or tourism visas while their asylum applications are pending.
Finally, let's touch on the story about Sean Grayson, a former Illinois deputy who was convicted of killing Sonia Massey and has since died in prison.
Yes, Grayson died while serving a 20-year prison sentence for second-degree murder in the fatal shooting of Massey, a 36-year-old black woman. This incident had become a flashpoint in discussions over police use of force.
How does this development impact the ongoing conversations about police accountability and reform?
The reporting indicates that Grayson's conviction and subsequent death in prison might not directly influence the broader discussions on police reform, but it remains a significant incident in the context of law enforcement accountability.
As we wrap up today's discussion, it's clear that these stories cover a wide range of critical issues, from international trade and foreign policy to social media regulation and immigration.
That's right, Alan. Each of these topics has significant implications for various stakeholders and the broader global community. Thank you for joining me in exploring these important stories.
Thank you, Claire. It's been a thorough and insightful discussion.
And that's all for today's episode. We'll continue our coverage of important news stories in future episodes. Thank you for listening.
Goodbye, and thank you for tuning in.